This is the 20th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing. Really enjoyed the shows over the last couple weeks. You had, if you guys haven't caught, it was a recorded show, so it doesn't show up under the live tab on the BTL YouTube channel. If that's how you digest the content, it went out just like regular at 9 a.m. on iTunes and the podcast platforms. But the Ron Sheffield show, really good show. Dude showed up in a Hawaiian shirt, was talking about flipping with Denny Brower and Tommy Biffle and George Cochran and Jimmy Houston and back in the day, and then the finesse fishing and just kind of the evolution and the move to the FLW tour back in that 06 season, and then his son Spencer coming on. And I think a lot of people forget how good Ron Sheffield is and was on the tournament scene. 7 wins with Bass and 15 classics, like 4 or 5 top 10s in Bassmaster Classics, 2.6 million in earnings. So it was really good to hear from Ron, who's looking good, doing a lawn care service. If you haven't had a chance, go back and watch or listen to that episode. And then I had Mark Jeffries on live, and I think it's the first time in the 15 years that I've done this show, 12 or 13 of which I co-hosted with him, that we actually 100% agreed on something, and that was the MLF team series that is currently going on. The dynamics that you're seeing with that team series on the live, like, you want to talk about watching a disaster yesterday in the most epically entertaining way possible, is put Keith Poche and Kelly Jordan in a boat together. Put David Dudley and Dave Lefebvre in a boat together. Put the Robinsons in a boat together. Put the Joneses in a boat together. Put Ayler and Reese in a boat together. Just the possibilities of that are endless. So I encourage everyone to check that out. Today's a little special show. We kind of do this every single year. And if you follow BTL for the last 4 years, you know that one of the things that we do every fall is raise money for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction. The Bass Fishing Hall of Fame banquet takes place on the 26th. 5 inductees this year: Fred Arbogast, Mike McInnes, Skeet Reese, Alfred Williams, and Mark Zona. So you know it's going to be. It was Ike last year. He had like 10 tables, and it got a little bit rowdy. But yeah, I'm not sure that Alfred and Mike are going to party hard, but I'm pretty sure that Skeet and Mark Zona are going to tear the place down. But there's an auction that goes along with it. That goes to grants. Gene Gilliland, who's with the conservation, he's talked about that. You can go back and watch how important the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame grants are. They're really focused on getting the scientists and young people in college to get them in fisheries and wildlife position departments who are bass fishermen, who understand kind of the climate and the challenges that we face as anglers and bass fishermen. Also a lot of habitat stuff, and then also revamping the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of guys on the board have done a lot of hard work to really revamp that Hall of Fame that is there in Springfield, Missouri, at the Wonders of Wildlife. So that takes place on the 26th. That auction opens, I believe, on the 20th. Press release comes out tomorrow. It's all kind of a little bit condensed, but everyone has a chance to bid on auctions. Last year's auction for Ben Milliken got nuts. He went for $16,000 a day to fish with Ben Milliken. So he's back in it. I actually was a little bit behind getting my auction items in. Barb's going to kill me for it, but I've got 10 of them. I got 10 of them this year. And I said, let's do a Bass Fishing Hall of Fame show. And we're going to kick things off with the one and only. He provided 3 auction items. We got a bunch of guests today, a bunch of different guests. We got Juice from Juice's Jigs coming on, and we got a special guest after that. But I wanted to kick things off with one of my favorite people in the industry. Have a lot of phone call conversation with him. Eric Glasso, known as Epic Eric's Bait Lab. You see him every Monday night on Travis Manson's Smallmouth Crush Live. You are the star of that show. So one of the reasons you haven't been on BTL is I don't want to take Travis's thunder. You're the money maker for Smallmouth Crush, right? So like I jump on Smallmouth Crush, but I'm kind of like a one-man show there. So I didn't want to like grab you and then Travis is like, yo, what are you doing with my boy? But this is for the Hall of Fame, for the auction, for the cost. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll get into some other stuff that I've wanted to talk with you about.
Oh, perfect, man. Perfect.
Little long-winded there, Eric. Thanks for jumping on a Wednesday morning. Couldn't appreciate it anymore.
Appreciate you having me on, man. Great show yesterday. That whole team format you touched on a minute ago. I was just fired up watching you talk about it. I hear you loud and clear, man. You hit some lightning, and you and Jeffries agreed. Which, when's the last time you agreed on anything?
I don't think we have ever really agreed on much on the show. But like, dude, the team tournament. I know I talk with you. You fish with what? Captain Scooter Lily. You do a lot of stuff out in Virginia on Bugs Island.
Yeah, and North Carolina
and the Potomac and all around there. You are, I mean, all those trophies behind you are all team tournament trophies, right? Tens of thousands of dollars over the last decade.
100%. All team champions, couple team championships, a lot of individual wins, and many top 5, top 10 finishes. So we've had 2 wins this year, and kind of a third win, which was a memorial tournament, big bag and big fish during that. That was Colby Jones, young angler who passed away. So super meaningful win for Scooter and I, and came in 6th overall in the team derby and had a shot at the overall win. So we're grinders, shallow water, dirt daubers, man. Keep it old school, power fishing. But I bring a little finesse game to that too. So, I love it.
Yeah, no, you have some crazy stuff there. Yes, Clay, I know. Mark. So what Mark had was, and the reason why I had him on the show was he had a PowerPoint presentation, and it was like a proposal for a team series. Yeah. And this was like 12 years ago that he did it. I remember he spent like 3 shows on it, and I was like, give it a freaking rest. Like, I don't want to rely on anyone else for my damn fish. I just want to go out and catch them by myself. Like, I was totally opposed to it, but I have come full circle on the team series now. I still like the individual, Eric. I still like to go out, and it all comes down to you. And if you lose it, it's your fault. And every decision's on you. But like, I guess I value relationships a little bit more, and the entertainment and the process side of it. And the team series kind of allows that.
That's what, look, man, I used to be an individual tournament fisherman back in the day, man. I sat on the front of the boat, made my own decisions. And it was a moment on the Potomac River in an individual tournament, man, where we fished when we shouldn't have fished. And literally, Matt, 2 tornadoes touched down, one north, one south in La Plata. And I was stuck. My units were so waterlogged. I had no mapping. I thought I was going to outrun this squall that came up the river. I thought it was going to be lights out, last days on the water forever. And I said, you know what? I'm done with this individual stuff. Too much stress. And I really love the team aspect, man. It's the whole prep. It's the gear. It's the decision making. It's the laughter the night before. It's getting your ass kicked. It's a win. Sharing it with somebody just is more enriching for me, man. So I guess that's a process of me getting older in life. You know what I mean? So I just dig the team format in so many ways.
So if you live under a rock and you don't, so Travis, the Smallmouth Crush Shot every Monday night is, some would say it's an acquired taste. Others would say it's exactly what we need in the fishing industry, because it is unscripted, unfiltered. You have no idea what's going on. Deals a lot kind of with the Northeast region, but 100%. Nationwide. So the last time I was on, we actually did a segment, and you can go back and watch it as to kind of how you got into this thing, your background a little bit. So for the BTL viewers, let's see if I get this right. Businessman, made good decisions in life, has always had a passion for the outdoors, bass fishing, particularly the process, the lures behind it, the history of the lures, who makes them, that whole 9 yards. Got hooked up with Travis through a guide trip.
Mutual friend. It was tournament scene up in the Northeast. I was fishing team tournaments. He was there. Jack Rinkers was there. He worked for Jack at the time. He was selling HVAC contracts, or not selling anything at all, if you ask Jack. But I thought
those were like incredibly lucrative.
For some reason, he just didn't have a fruitful career. He was more interested in bass fishing. But I was headed up to Lake Champlain to watch my son play lacrosse tournament. Jack said, Travis is up there practicing. Why don't you guys hook up? I call him up. We fished a day. And that's how it all started.
I got you. So both, I would say you're both eclectic.
100%,
And
man.
and then the odd
we're
couple.
opposites.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is the perfect way to describe our relationship. I mean, it's yin and yang, right? I mean, he would fish a sniper jig for the rest of his life. For me, it's a whole different story, man. I love bait hacking. I love traditional old school bass fishing, right?
Mhm.
But I also love the finesse game. So it's really cool. We shoot videos together because I'll bring some new things to the table. Like we got on a smallmouth crank and bite when he was throwing plastics and scoping last year, which was incredible. I mean, it was one of the funnest days of crankbait fishing. Smallies, 40, 50, 3 to 6 pounds on a crankbait, snapping it through the grass. Oh my God, on a flat side.
Old school. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah,
and
man.
he also would throw
Totally
a
old
sniper
school.
jig because let's face it, he gets a royalty on those. So
Exactly.
he's got an ulterior motive there. But kind of through that
Yeah.
show, you have all sorts of crazy stuff behind you, and you're showing it,
Yep.
you're giving away stuff during the show, and then
Yep.
being the entrepreneur that you are, you added Epic Eric's Bass Lab to it that provides a lot of like one-off hand painted, hand carved. You got tackle craft involved. Marty Burr. I'm going to miss all the names because we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff because everyone has a chance to get their hands on stuff that does not exist right now that you really came through for. But this is kind of like a little passion project for you that a lot of people have gotten really unique kind of one-off baits through the Epic Eric's Bass Lab.
That's right. That shaky jig worm that you were showing on that front page, man, that accounted for some big money wins down in Texas. It's a souped up shaky head that's tied like a jig. I tied the prototype, and then I collaborate with a bunch of different bait makers, you know, anywhere from River Rat spinner baits with 9K Elite lures to Brian's custom tackle. So I'll tie the prototypes. You know, I've got my own little shaky football jig right there. That little Mamma Jamma is a bad dude. The big giant flat side you see in the middle, Marty Burns. I wanted a monster flat side mat. That accounted for some tournament money this year, my friend. So yeah, I'm all over the map, man, from finesse to power. And then some bass art, you see. I'm wearing one. Yeah. My logo came from Goonie Wolf, who I think is the best bass artist in the game. And then, you know, one of the things that we'll get into is in the Hall of Fame packages, you'll see some of the bass art through hats and shirts and some of the stickers that I've got at the Bass Lab. So
he did all that just for you.
He did. I came up with the ideas, and then he designs it, and we work on, you know, different designs until we get it right, and then we make it into a sticker, hat, or a shirt, man. So I love to create. That's my jam. If I'm not creating something, and that's why I tinker with tackle, right? I'll show you one thing I'm super proud of, man. I donated $1,000 to the Aaron Martin's Family Fund. Mm-hmm. I painted this is a timber tiger that I painted with Sally Hansen nail polish. It is Aaron's Morning Dawn, and I used Sally Hansen nail polish to paint the prototype. Okay, that was a clear bait. I sent it down to TK Stanley at Tacklecraft, and he matched it because I sent him the nail polish.
Oh my gosh!
And we sold, I don't even know how many sets of these. It was a Timber Tiger DC 1 and 2. We sold out that night, and I said I would match and donate all the profits. So the profits were about $500. I matched the $500. And we sent $1,000 to the Aaron Martin's Family Fund. So we didn't make any money on it, but it was a blast, man. That's the stuff I love to do because to me, Aaron's Morning Dawn is one of the most productive, you know, shaky head and or drop shot colors that I love to fish. I love that white belly. It gives a little flash. Works on tidal rivers too, by the way. But it was that's a fun project for me. I love doing stuff like that, you know, painting a little Timber Tiger and blue crab for my tidal river rats. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's coming out soon. Anyway, I just love to create. That's what my jam is. And team fish.
So I mentioned we've kind of done some of the auction, and the auction, from what I understand, it goes live on the 20th. It's like 5 days. It goes through the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, which is on the 26th. And Steve Bowman, who's in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, and also kind of drums up the board members and the people to get unique donations. You know, like last year he did like a frog hunt, which I actually met the couple up in Minnesota at a St. Jude deal that was like, hey, we won the frog hunt with Bowman, and they went on it. Hackney did a Sasquatch hunt last year, which actually was like a pig hunt where you get the pig and then trap, but all sorts of unique, a lot of trips, a lot of giveaways, a great way to get one of a kind things and support the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. So we'll go through some of the trips here. The auction site is not live. It'll be up on basson.com on the Bass Fishing HOF website. And then
Fantastic.
Also, I'll say this right off the bat. Right now, if you just text BFHOF to 243725. I think that works. I need to probably try that and see if it gives if it does. Hold on.
Yeah, you've got it in the YouTube description, Matt.
725.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that too.
Yep. And if you text it, it'll give you the link to whatever the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction is, and kind of give you updates as to what is there, so that you can bid. It's through Bid Pal. The same thing we've used every single year. A lot of the BTL listeners have come through. We do a BTL experience trip, which is where you get to come down.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So we added. So Mark Jeffries, who's the coach of this NSU bowling team, we're going to do a behind the scenes of a bowling center, like where the pins are, how all that works, the locker room, a 1 hour bowling lesson. Then he's covering like $150 of travel to get there. I'm putting you up for that night. Then the next morning we do BTL in studio. The winner co-hosts it, guest of their choice, and then we either go out and we do a trophy bass on a lakes that I cannot name, or giant crappie trip for the day. So the BTL experience. So I
think I'm bidding on that.
Yeah, it could. I mean, I think CJ Glenn won it last year. We had a freaking heck of a time. We caught the heck out of him. He was great. We had
what time of year, Matt, is this going to be?
In the either early spring or winter.
Okay, I got
here in Oklahoma. Yeah, we had Brandon Belt on, the Giants first baseman who's now running the Brandon Belt tournament series down in Texas. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Went and got burgers. But anyway, I say all that to say this, and we're going to get right into it right here.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
So I called you and I said, hey, man, I said, you got anything laying around that you think might be unique? That's what I was saying. You want some unique stuff for the Hall of Fame. And you were like, well, I can do one more. And the next thing I know, I got box 1. I've got box 2. And I've got box 3 at my doorstep. And then I start looking at the contents of these things and I'm like, bro, you went above and beyond. So these are all one-of-a-kind boxes that anybody who's listening, watching can bid on for the Hall of Fame auction. And if you are remotely a tackle junkie, these are like some must-haves for your collection that are one-offs, one-of-a-kind, can't get them anywhere else. You had to spend a lot of time putting these things together because you collabed with like 10 of the hottest painters, designers, bait makers in the industry. That some don't exist anymore, some don't sell anymore, and some are hundreds of dollars to get your hands on. So
that's exactly
you want to walk through them and then we can learn as we go.
Right on, man. Right on. And, hey, first and foremost, special shout out to you, man, for giving me the opportunity to bring some of these painters and makers and bait makers to light. I'm a custom balsa freak. And in particular, I love the old balsa makers. A lot of them, have passed away. And so their baits are really hard to find. Matt, I'm a flat side junkie for sure. So special shout out to Marty Burns, Big M, TK Stanley at Tacklecraft, who's a painter. Marty Burns is one of the few old school crankbait makers that hand carves his bait still today. We've collabed on several things. In particular, he made me one of my dream baits. I love throwing flat sides, but I always wanted a big flat side that I could throw on conventional tackle. And just for reference, I'm going to show you this big flat side against an iconic one. So that's called the Epic Shad, hand painted by TK Stanley and hand carved by Marty Burns. It's got the Bass Lab logo on the front. I don't know if that's showing up, but there it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's painted, in the old school Zoom classic color. It's got an old school ticker in it. One of the things that bait makers used to do is they would put a 22 caliber shell casing in it and a ball bearing, a steel ball bearing. So you get this really loud tick. No one knock bait sounds like these. So I love it. This is a super buoyant bait. It's made for cover cranking. It's got a lot of secondary action on the back out and the rise. So I tend to worm this, pull and stop. It's accounted for some big money for me. But here's a norm. This is not a norm. This is a baby pig. One of the more popular baits. If you can get your hands on one, this is not a Norm Coulter baby pig, but I did through John Pryor, who's another painter and bait maker from Ace and the Hole Custom Lures. In one of the other boxes, there is a baby pig custom painted by John in pumpkin seed. It may be one of one in the country.
Is it in that box? That box right there?
That is right there.
Okay.
Right.
We'll get to that box. What we're talking about now is to see. Look at that. Look at this box right here.
Yeah.
If this doesn't get you going.
There you go. That's right. So I've always wanted to do like a Legends box, and by no means, look, if there's some crankbait heads that are watching right now, there's by no means this is a complete legendary balsa makers box. I don't have them all. Yeah. I got a lot of them, and this is just personally. A lot of these baits I've thrown, some I wouldn't throw anymore because they're super hard to get. It depends on how many I got when I was collecting. I've been collecting since the 70s, since I was young. Maybe not some of those makers, but I started out with Bagley's, obviously a lot of plastic baits. So I'm a big vintage plastic guy too. But that Legends box is pretty badass.
So that's box one. So this will be available at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction.
Right. So those top three baits up top, right across the top, are TK Stanley and Marty Burns. The Big Epic Shad is in the middle, right below the Bass Lab logo, and the other two baits flanking them are Marty's first bait that really made Marty and gave him his name. It's an SB1, and it's a flat side. And it just gets bit. Marty makes baits a little bit different. He's super picky about his balsa. The way he builds them, he dares anybody. Matt, listen to this. He dares anybody to break one of his crankbaits. You know how, like, when you're fishing balsa, you're not supposed to slap it.
Yeah, they get good right before the bill gets weak or right before the foil comes out of it. Or
he dares you to break him. He's dared me to break. I still won't do it. I'm like pulling the grass off. But
this is the actual box. Like, I'm looking at. I feel like we're kind of QVC right now, but you don't really have to say. Where they're trying to sell you like the one of one NFL fleece blanket. Yeah, this was designed specific, but dude, look at. I'm not kidding. I didn't realize that this big because I haven't had a chance. I mean, I'm not going through them. I'm just taking them to the Hall of Fame here next week. That is the actual one that you will be bidding on right there.
Yep, that's the Epic Shad, man. That is it's got a crazy secondary action when it backs out of cover. Matt, you should throw it, man. I'll send you one. But anyway, when you back it out of cover, that thing like backs up fast and is wobbling and does wild stuff, man. Triggers a lot of bites. I took it down to Florida. The prototype, in fact, I think that prototype picture when I first painted was raw wood. I painted with Sally Hansen. I went fishing with Brent Anderson. I was dragging it on shell bars, dude. I caught some studs on that bait.
These are all like I have like one or two of these, not like these exact ones, but just the old school, like flat side ones, all of them. So total in box one, there's a lot of history just in that. I mean,
West England wee bait, if you know anything about it, throws like a potato chip, but I suffer through the pain.
How long have those have been around? Those have been around forever, haven't they?
Yeah, I talked to Wes. Very hard to find. They used to sell them at Dixie Marine. I talked to Wes England shortly before he passed away. He was a character, dude. He was an absolute character. Wes, and here's a little bit of trivia for you. So I also put in an Ed Chambers Killer 2. So Ed took a shine to carving baits, right? This is Ed Chambers of Zoom. Everybody's thrown a Zoom plastic watching this show. Ed would make about 3,000 baits a year, but he first started carving.
There's an Ed Chambers in this box.
Yeah, Ed Chambers, early year model, by the way, Killer 2. But Wes and Ed knew each other. Ed always wanted to know how Wes England foiled his baits. He called the house one day. He called Wes England's house one day, and Wes was out. And his wife said, "Oh, Wes is at the florist picking up some foil." He used floral.
Gave away the juice. Foil.
So basically, Ed said thank you by sending Wes England a pack of worms, And Wes England would always love to tell the story how he would show the pack of worms and how Ed, basically found out how he foiled his bait.
It's a little bitty bait, Eric.
It's a little bitty bait. Here's one
with
even
a rounded
smaller.
bill on it.
It is, man, and it's got a hard X action. This is a very unique flat side. It's sneaky. It comes in silver. I threw the silver one in your package. I'm showing you guys the gold one. But that was his. There. Yeah, that was his signature flat side. That comes from the last lot. That's a Gary D's. Take that. There's the one above it, Matt. There's another one that looks like this. That's the little warrior from Gary D's. So Gary D's from D Baits and Wes England from Wee Baits. They're both Ohio makers, and they had a little bit of a competition going. So if you fished any Ohio River Valley water, you wanted to get your hands on a Wee Bait or a D Bait. Yeah, there you go. Nope. That's a jaw jacker. Nope, that's a jaw jacker from Rob Cochran. A Sunny B.
Good Lord.
You'll find it's the silver one. It's the silver one with the white belly. Oh, it's foil.
Oh,
silver foil.
I don't want to
put up the picture. Anymore. Put up the picture.
That one?
That's it. Nope. That's the TK Stanley SB1 from Mark Burns.
Oh,
yeah. And look.
Oh, this says TKS HOF1 on the bottom.
Hall of Fame 1 and Hall of Fame 2. TK signed them as Hall of Fame baits. How cool is that?
That is freaking cool. This is
that's the Marty Burns
TK's website right here. Tackle Craft. If you guys haven't been on here, it's dangerous.
Very
dangerous.
You'll get lost.
Absolute. He's another absolute character too, and he does a lot of painting for other stuff, and then every once in a while there'll be something on the site, but it's sold out so quick. It's kind of like the swim bait deals. Yeah.
You got to reach out to him. Get in line.
Yeah, he's he'll go live every now and then while he's painting and go on the epic rant.
He's hilarious, man. He's old school as it gets right there, man. I'm going to show you one more.
I was looking at that when I saw that.
This is a Bob Allen potbelly bait, potbelly lures. I had a chance to meet Bob Allen through Pete Gluzik, the dean at the Bass University. He was remaking a very famous lure from Jerry Lures, and they were in need of some lips, and I found him a source. Right. This is the Sugar Bee. Bob Allen trained under the legendary Fred Young of the Big O.
There it is.
There you go. There you go. There's your Wes England bait. That's the Wee Bait right there. That's the last run of Wee Baits I think Wes England made.
Holy cow, dude.
Yep.
This is an insane box.
Yeah. Very collectible for sure. And I'm a big fan. Colors. Yeah. Ira C is another guy that's in the box. Ira Carell. This is I call it a finesse square bill. This is his little eye. It's his kind of his namesake plug.
Oh, and that kind of has a little Big O-ish to it.
It does, but in a very scaled down version. He loves fishing this bait because it gets a lot of bites. So if you're a square bill dude, you want that bait, no doubt.
This one is also. This one also has the Dean Helton signature on the bottom.
Yeah, that's Dean Helton. He passed away recently. He really made a very good tap. This is a tap style bait with a little bit different lip. So it's got a square bill lip in it, but a flat side in that tap type shape. So very interesting bait. Dean Helton would sign them all on the bottom. This is 11, another East Tennessee maker. And I believe, Matt, that one has a ticker, but you'll have to check because some do, some don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the
says ticker. 11H or 4IC or something.
Yep, there you go. 2011. He signed them all. Dean Helton signed on the bottom right there.
Yeah. Dude, this one also. This is the Tackle Craft Hall of Fame too.
Yep. And kind of a natural craw color, which is really cool. He let some of that wood show through. Very unique way to paint. It's green pumpkinish, but his paint schemes are just literally ridiculous. So.
Is that? I mean, this is. How many people would you say are balsa? Like, if you were to guess, like balsa hand carved kind of crankbait aficionados across the United States, 5,000, 2,000, 10,000, 15. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, hand carved versus machine made with a duplicator, right? So there's some hand carved baits in here. You know, D Baits, Wee Baits, Dean Helton, Marty Burns, Jerry Lors, Bob Allen. The other ones are machine made. And Frank Tinsley from F&R Crankbaits, which made that gulp style plug. So
no, but I meant like fans, like guys who are like collectors, and fisher. Because I've got some buddies in Tennessee that are my age that do it. Which I mean, they've been doing it for 25 years now.
Yeah,
but like I feel like it's a niche.
It is niche.
Really appreciated by those in the know, and then completely underappreciated by those not in the know.
100%. I think there's something about, you know, TK kind of came up with this quote. There's something about wood and water. I just feel like a wood bait can outperform a plastic bait, especially when the bite is tough. You know me, Matt, I'm fishing behind some really incredible fishermen, Travis, Scooter, Bill Kramer. I mean, the guys that I've teamed with over the years, they're fantastic.
The dude who does Mad Money?
Billy Kramer's like the OG river rat. And, you know, Bob Cherry, one of the best crankbait fishermen I ever met. We team fished together. We won I've won championships with all those guys except for Kramer. Never fished a series with him.
That's not the same name as the guy who's like, sell.
It is, baby. It's I know Kramer, Mad Money, the Mad Money guy. But I pride myself on being able to, if we're cranking down a bank, it's early spring, those fish are in that 6 to 8 foot zone. If I can do something with a bait that, you know, I've painted the color I want, that has the action that I need, and I understand the bait, and through, you know, working at a different depth, retrieve, or cadence, but that balsa has properties, man, I'm just a fan. So when money's on the line, I'm generally throwing a balsa bait. There's a lot of plastic baits I love, so don't get me wrong, man. I fish them all. So anyway,
if you're not going to bid on this though, but you do know someone who is a balsa freak, this is the box. There will never be another box like this.
Yeah, no
retail. If someone was to try to put this box together right now, it's well over $1,000.
Oh, for sure.
Like
for sure.
Just to start. I mean, that Ed Chambers is a $250 crankbait right now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, I think the Killer 2 you could probably get, you know,
even in those colors though.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch out there still today, but the early models, meaning the earlier models, are more valuable in my mind because Ed, I felt, was more involved in the bait making process. Later years, you know, it was a later year bait. So was he still 100% painting everyone? Not sure. I don't know what went on, but in the early years he was, in my opinion. So I feel like some of those early models have a little bit more value. I mean, as any antique goes, right? So
Balsa Legends 14 in the box, and I would say a half dozen of them are one of a kinds, especially with 15
in the box.
Oh yeah, I saw that tacklecraft up there was painted too well. It fit in with the and I'd say a half dozen, 8 of them are one of a kinds between the paint job and the maker, and
for sure
autographed. And then that also comes with the Balsa Legends apparel, which I've got. I've got a Bass Lab sticker on my boat.
Right on, man.
And the Dr. Frankenstein T-shirt.
Yep. The full sticker pack. I'm going to go through these stickers really quick because each of the boxes comes with a hat, a shirt, and the full sticker pack. This is the newest one, man. This is the Morning Wood.
Very nice.
Morning Wood, man. So if you're a balsa dude, I mean, it's a play on words. Yeah, it's a little dudeish, but what can I say, man? Morning Wood right there. Because I don't know, man. I love the smell of fresh wood in the morning.
Yeah.
I did this one for Travis, man. St. Lawrence Super Tanker. Matt, I think you've got that on your boat, don't you?
No, I have the Bass Lab with the beaker.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. And then we got She Thick. We got Tug Life. Tug Life right there.
Yep.
Rise and Glide. Keep on grinding. Dr. Frankenstein. Oops. Bassapalooza. Legendary Lakes. That's my real passion project, Matt. We're doing that one day. I'm just sorry.
Yeah.
I have to do that with you. We even got something for the saltwater guys. Pier Rat, man. That Pier Rat's holding a cobia. Yeah, man. And then that's it, man. That's the full complement sticker pack right there.
And that's just one
all designed by Goonie Wolf, or my concepts, and he brought them to life. So it's just something I like to do, man. So
I like that. I learned a lot about that. That's what I was hoping when you came on. It wouldn't just be like, hey, here's a crankbaits, and you learn about each one.
Right.
Box 2 is unique to me, and
this is all John Pryor.
I see some herring stuff in here.
You do, and for sure. So John Pryor.
Yep, educate me.
Another legendary painter. I mean, the guy has been around forever. Him and TK kind of got to know each other. John Pryor, I think, trained a little bit under Dale Sellers. His dad, and I'm going to show you one of his color patterns. John is very unique in the way he approaches color. He's a bass hammer too. These are some Marty Burns builds that John Pryor has painted. And I think you've got not this bait, but that color pattern in that box. You've got some old school pose in that box, which John...
The old school pose, like the OGs.
The OGs, but the ones that were made well. There are good pose and there are bad pose. If you're a crankbait guy, you know this, right?
That's a pose right there.
That's a pose right there. John hand-tuned those, made sure the lip angle was correct, made sure they ran right, and so he's custom painted.
It's got a deal with a 24 on it. Is that his signature?
That's the year. Yeah, John Pryor signed him. He basically, who knows when he painted him, but he signed him 24. So there you go. That's that color pattern that I just showed you. His schemes are very, very unique, man. Very unique. So John Pryor, great guy, ace in the hole custom lures, and
you got a website?
He only Instagram right now, Instagram. So you can find John ace in the hole, and I think it's ace N, not in the hole custom lures. So check him out, man.
These are just as sick.
The hard fluke is really cool. Right,
I've seen that.
Right in the middle column below the baby pig, which Norm Cold Sword. Now that one, who knows what that would go for? The hard fluke, a treble hook fluke style bait, which is pretty tight. Yeah, that hard fluke style bait. If you haven't fished one or you don't know about them, it's something to see in the water.
And then you just take whatever tail you want and screw it onto the back of that hard.
That's exactly right. Bait. Don't throw away your burnt flukes. Save the tails, man. Save the tails, right? Save the tails. So if you're a herring guy on a herring fisher, and frankly, they'll eat it anywhere, obviously, right? It's a fluke. What bass doesn't like a fluke, right? But they especially perform on those herring legs. So you've also got 2 DT10s in there.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Custom painted DT10s.
Yep. Juicy
little
fruit,
crackle back on it. Yeah, it's got like a little...
Yeah, that
shine on the
color.
back.
I think that's his iconic juicy fruit color.
That's the baby pig, right?
That's the baby pig. That's
that's like a unicorn.
Yeah, Ronnie B's are probably the most valuable. The Ronnie B's, he was the original guy, and I believe Richard Manley. A lot of people do baby pig reproductions, but Norm, as the lore has it, his family, Ronnie B's family, gave Norm the rights to continue making the baby pig. There's kind of this honor code in the balsa arena. Once a maker passes away, you don't remake his bait exactly the same.
Little respect factor there.
That's an unwritten code. It's kind of like you don't come in on a guy's water when they're leading a tournament, right? Yeah. It's unwritten. It's not in the rules, but there it is. So right below that hard style fluke, you got an I'm a flit. You've got an I'm a pin jack to the left of that, a Lucky Craft DD 1.5.
All custom painted by John Pryor.
Custom painted by John. And then you've got some of his Bounty Hunter spinnerbait. So I'll hold up another Bounty Hunter spinnerbait for you. John makes a badass spinnerbait. Hidden weight system. It's going to be hard to see. Shad dot painted. Red hook. A lot of people don't believe. Talk and me believe. I believe. And by the way, for the record,
still stuck in 2004, Eric.
Well, what are the two colors a bass can see? Proven by science. Red and medium green. Otherwise, they're colorblind, Matt. Check out the Bass After Dark episode, which I was on.
Yeah.
And Fritz was on. Does lure color matter?
Does chartreuse show up as white?
It probably does. Fluorescence. Now, they say bass can see UV, but did you know this, Matt? Bass go colorblind to create night vision, so all they can see is black and white. So they feed for contrast, right? A bass's eyes are designed for contrast, right? So that's why contrasting colors work so well. But an hour after dusk and an hour after sunrise, a bass can still not perceive colors. So if you're not throwing darker crankbaits in the morning, you're missing out. Might make you think a little bit, right? Very interesting.
Yeah. Also,
Very interesting.
Apparel box with number 2 is more of the
Right
river
off.
rat look there for that.
That's right. This is the river rat hat. I might just put it on for you guys because there's a river rat hat I got too. So I'll switch up the apparel.
Dude, I like it because then when you're fishing, so like, listen, like 99.99% of people who listen to all this stuff, they don't make their living fishing, right? So they fish because they enjoy it.
Exactly.
And because it provides some sort of value to their life.
Right on.
And when you can throw bait that you have the history of, that you know whose hands touched it, why it was, and there was a reason, like I feel like exactly that enhances the experience.
I agree.
Same reason why we'll have Juice on here in a little bit, but like why he gets all geeked out when he catches one on his something that he tied in his garage.
Man, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I got out of bass fishing for a little bit, got into trout fishing, Matt. So I love hand-tied jigs. I love hand-tied jig makers. I tinker. My fly tying device is right over there, man. So I get after it, man. That's why I like tinker with baits.
Opening box number 1. I need to make sure in order. So we got box 3. So box 3, I love how you did this because you were like, well, I got all this stuff, and I'm like, hey, dude, like, let's break this up.
Yeah, we have to. We have to. This is another generous donation from John
this
Pryor.
is nuts. So box 3, and I'll just throw it up originally, and then I'll show it, is a one-off, but it's like one of the hardest to find glide baits on the market.
It's a 316, less of a glide, more of a wake, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I just have to call it Rise of Glide. It's a 316 baby wake painted in blueback herring.
Dude, this thing is,
you got to take it out and show it.
Immaculate. Like,
it truly is.
This is I would also probably throw it because you're not going to lose it, but look at that thing.
Dude, it's nasty. It's nasty. It's nasty for sure.
That's a fairly sought after bait too.
Oh, for sure. If you can even find it. There's nothing out there right now. I can't even find a 316 baby wake online. I looked yesterday, let alone painted by John Pryor and blueback herring. Yeah. Yep. That's a good one.
Just like straight retail is $200.
Yeah. Hard to find.
Super
hard to find.
Very cool bait. Very cool bait. Big shout out.
No date. And you're getting the Rise and Glide shirt, man.
You're wearing it. You got everything on.
I'm wearing it, man. And the Tug Life hat. The Tug Life hat comes with that one.
Hold on a second. Boom. There it is right there.
There you go.
All these will be available on the Bass Fishing HOF, the auction. 100% of your proceeds for these auctions. The auction kicks off on the 20th. I'm sure Eric will throw up a link. I'll have a link on it, everyone.
No doubt.
You'll be able to get links also if you follow the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame on Facebook and Instagram. And it all goes to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame.
I think it's awesome, man.
For the 5 that are there. So, dude, I cannot thank you enough for this stuff.
Heck yeah,
awesome.
Man.
So these will be on display there. Like we have all the tables that'll come out. Some of the stuff, the guys said, like we got some stuff coming up from Frank later in the show. I'll just fly out. Have you seen what Frank's doing? So those are all, dude, those are one of a kind, one-off originals that he hand painted, and then he signed the bottom, and each one with the exception of the top one is based off of an actual crayfish from Lake St. Clair that he captured himself.
Good, man. I love it, man. Frank,
and then he shadow boxed it. He did all the writing like in his own handwork and stuff. And those are all like Norman's.
I'm bound to Frank. I got a trivia question and a giveaway.
You got a giveaway on BTL?
I got it.
Giveaway now, this is important, Eric.
Right now.
Are you sending them the giveaway package?
I will send it to them directly. Okay. Not involving Matt Pangrak at all. Do not reach out to him on BTL. Don't even ask him a question about it. Reach out to me.
I'm just saying, my giveaway sending skills are suspect at best.
I got you guys. Okay, this is for all the crankbait heads watching right now. Okay, why did Jim Harder of the famous Gulp crankbaits name his crankbait Gulp? It was out of South Carolina. Legendary crankbait maker, legendary bait, accounted for a ton of money. I'm sure there's still people throwing it. Why did he name it Gulp? I'm going to let it marinate for a little bit. And if you get it right, I'm going to send you a sticker pack and a hot crankbait of my choice for my personal collection. And of course, it's going to be made out of wood.
What was his name?
Jim Harder. From Gulp Crankbaits.
Harder.
Correct. Yep.
Gulp. Name his.
Yeah, why did he name his flat-sided crankbait Gulp? Good guess. Good guess, Sean. I see. Good guess. Anthony Geis in the comment, man. I hope Ken Duke, you cannot answer this question. I didn't know Ken Duke would be on the show.
No, neither
the man,
did I.
the myth, the legend, the history. Man, he's like the keeper of all bass information, man.
Can I give a Ooh,
Pete.
Wait.
Let me see if anybody who got it first. It's there.
Pete showed up first.
It looked like Pete Cook got it. Pete, you are the winner.
They both say 918, but Pete shows up before Sean.
Okay. There you go. Pete is the winner. It's Plug. And for all you crankbait heads or people that don't know, if you're real, I mean, like David Fritz would call it a plug. Nobody called it a crankbait. It's all plugs, man.
Wind and a plug.
Wind and a plug, man. Wind and a plug. Congratulations, Pete.
So Pete, send your contact info to me, matt@basszone.com, mailing address, and then I will forward that to the Bass Lab and Epic Eric. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Sean says mine shows up before his on mine. That's true. Sean's a great BTL supporter. I think I met him at the Classic this year.
So Matt, one last river rat story. So I went fishing with Kramer this weekend, man. We were on the river.
Yep.
And the topwater bite turned on. And you know how that like walking plug frog bite starts to happen? Dude, we smashed the river fish. It's like a soul cleansing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you get that frog bite or that topwater bite going in a grass bed, there's nothing like it.
River fish bite different.
Man, they do. They hit different.
They don't. They have a different attitude.
They mean to kill it. No doubt.
I got Juice. I think he's at work. I don't know. He's wearing a collared shirt. He rarely wears a collared shirt. I got Jarrett Morrison from Juice's Jigs, if that sounds familiar. He was on Hella Bass talking about it. He's been featured in Bassmaster. Robert G's got 2 top 10s on the Elite Series in part to it, and it's like new school hair with old school principles. You cool with like sticking around and chatting with
Man,
Juice
I'd love to.
Okay,
absolutely.
Juice put together what he calls his juice box.
That's so awesome.
And he put this together to donate to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. I'm trying to go with unique stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like his own tungsten. We're talking all sorts of different hairs. I might kind of like wind you two up and let you ask him some questions.
Sure.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Juice from Juice's Jigs, and then we might even throw another special guest in the show. I've kind of been liking these special guest shows. Just kind of depends, but it is BTL on a Wednesday, Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction, special edition. Everything we're showing here bait-wise, you guys will have an opportunity to support bass fishing, support the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame conservation, and the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame expo. If you haven't been there, Wonders of Wildlife, it is absolutely insane. I mean, it is like nirvana to go in there and see every guy gets his square, and then you got jerseys and baits and historic stuff from presidents. It's like really cool plaques.
That's very cool.
Every classic, all that stuff. So matt@basszone.com is it, Pete? But it's a special edition BTL on a Wednesday with Epic Eric coming back with Jarrett Morrison from Juice's Jigs. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, the truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, you just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
All right, welcome back, BTL on a Wednesday. A little co-host action with Epic Eric. Not stealing, like, listen, you guys, Monday nights is where you live.
That's right.
Smallmouth Crush with Travis
bit,
Manson.
You know?
Yeah, like, if you guys are BTLers and you don't really get out of the BTL lane, give it a shout. Give it a shot. Some of them get weird. And some of them are action-packed, but they're always informative. Travis knows his stuff. Really good look into the kind of Northeast aspect. Talks a lot about smallmouth fishing, and you go off really deep into the weeds sometimes on baits and colors and action and kind of what we touched on today. You have entire 3-hour shows of that go late into the night, so you can go back and watch all the archives. Good buddy of Travis, I really appreciate. Last 2 months ago when I was through, I basically took over a studio and we did three collaboration shows. So
fantastic, man.
All right, next guest, also donating to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction, which opens on the 20th. You can do it. If it sounds familiar, that's because So I'm not also well-versed in the hair world. Are you, Eric?
A little bit. Spent some time. Time flies.
Okay, so like, is what Juice doing? Be honest here. You're not going to hurt his feelings. And if you do, I gave him 2 bottles of whiskey the other day when he came over to watch the OU game. So we'll call it even. This is like not really being done in the bass fishing world right now, is it? Like, this is
not like that. No, he's got something unique going on, man. Those recipes, and I think that's the key, man. That's the code for every jig / fly tire, because there's fly elements in that. Dang, the recipes and the materials, man. You guard them, dude. You guard them. Yeah, it matters, and how you tie it matters. I'll let Juice talk about that, man. But I'm all about it. I love it.
Here he is. Jarrett Morrison, thank you for jumping on BTL today and for donating to the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction. 12 jigs that don't exist. You want to talk about one-offs hard to get? You had a, what'd you go on, luckylure.com last month, Juice?
Yeah, on the 29th of August.
And you had, 144 jigs that went live on the website at 7 p.m.?
And they were done in 3 minutes. Yeah, they were gone.
Every single one of them. You started. So you started with tying. You started just to see if you would enjoy tying, and then you started tying crappie, and then it was literally seemed overnight to me like you were like, hey, I'm going to start messing with some bass stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then boom, the crappie, like you haven't tied a crappie jig in months and you're all in on the bass. Like it seemed like a pretty fast transition from the crappie to the bass a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Just, I mean, the bass thing, I'm a bass head, even though I enjoyed a crappie fish and, due to my, time schedule, I kind of got out of the bass tournament world and, just focused on crappie fishing because it was convenient. I've got some pretty decent lakes close to the house and it just, fits those windows when you have small kids and a busy life. So that's kind of how I got into the crappie stuff. And I just started, messing around with that. And then just being a bass head, I fished a tournament, it was last year. That was short-lived because it got canceled. But
I told you not to sign up for that.
We're not going to go into that.
Eric, but, have you ever heard of a tournament circuit? Have you ever heard of a tournament circuit that makes you pay your full entry fee up front for all 5 before you fish the first one?
That's amazing.
Have you ever heard of that?
Well,
no.
I tried.
Okay, exactly. We'll leave it at
that. Full disclosure, I try to talk my buddy out of doing that and go talk to the guy and let's like pay one at a time because I didn't want to do it. But it was like it was on our we're on Lake Eufaula where we have our home. It's where we have a lake house and it just makes it easy to have a free place to stay and it's convenient and they were all on Eufaula. So that's kind of like. So
in your fairness, the checks for the first tournament did clear.
They did. 10 grand cleared
for the first tournament.
Yeah,
we'll move on.
Yeah. And
man.
So going into that tournament trail, like after knowing what I've been able to do with my crappie hair jigs, because of being a bass guy, you see it like. I'm scoping and I see a bass down there and I can't help myself. And it's a 12-foot long rod with 15 to 20 pound braid on a 1/4 ounce crappie jig and they smash it. And so, I just started kind of tinkering around in the garage, on my time bench and started messing around with different kinds of hairs, for that tournament trail. And I actually pulled out the OG the other day, the very first Gen 1. Yeah, it was kind of funny. I found it in one of my boxes and I was like, wow, I've came a long ways from that. Because it was pretty simple. And because I just wanted to see how the bass would react to it. And I knew the minnow deal, like just based off of what I was being able to do with my crappie stuff and successfully catch bass on a regular basis. That's kind of, where I was like, all right, I got to go all in on this. And then last summer I messed around with a couple of different variations of it on the 4th of July weekend. And I had 15 pounds the first morning that I actually went out and tried to target bass and then the next morning I had 18 pounds in July on Lake Eufaula. That's by 10:30, it was just like, okay, I need to do something with this. So, and I replicated it on a couple of other lakes around here and I just kind of kept it quiet for a long time. So, but yeah, just transition from, just being a crappie guy to always being a bass guy and can't help it. So
Eric, you've been around this game a long time. In your opinion, name off some of the things that make a good tire.
Man,
like what are some of the good qualities that you look for when you put a piece of hair in your hand?
Sure. Quality materials first and foremost, right? How the material is laid into the jig, right? I mean, if you look at the tails and how he splayed it and why he ties it that way and how he gets the splay on those feathers, right? So when he's pulling the jig, they collapse. And then when it stops, they spread. It gives it life, right? So it's really important. The amount of material, I see he's got some crystal flash in there.
Be careful.
Why he
will hunt you down if you start naming too many of them.
I won't do the recipe. Look, man, I recognize a lot of that stuff, but I guard that stuff too, man. People bugged me about my shaky jig worm. I did a jig that's a shaky head and a jig, and they wanted to know the head I used and the materials I used up front. I'm like, I'm not telling you. I mean, that's your recipe, right? Juice. I mean,
100%. Yeah. I mean,
100%.
I'm guarding it. You know, I've had
Yeah.
people. I get all kinds of messages from other
Sure.
tires, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not.
No.
Yeah, but
Like,
you also
it's
have to
just-
make. We need to have that check because you also have to make connections too. So there's
That's
like
true.
a fine line
That's
between.
that's
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But coming in hot, what
Mhm.
materials are you using, and
Yeah.
how are you tying it? That's
No.
not going to happen.
So
was it Matt, I got a question. Was
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
hard for you, Juice, to say, all right, I've been scoring on this, right? Because all fishermen, whether it's technique driven, scope, non-scope, doesn't really matter. But if you found
Right.
something magic, it's really hard to talk about. How did you make that decision to go, all right, I'm gonna start tying for other people? What
I mean, it's,
That's a
you
tough
know,
one.
I went from basically July of last year until January of this year, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna put it out there. Like, and Matt, you know, I was on BTL in December at Lucky Lure Tackle, and he knew what I had been working on in the background. And he's like, hey, all you do is crappie jigs, right? I'm like, yeah, that's all I do right now. Because I was just like, I was so undecided on, you know, whether or not I wanted to show it or, you know, just put myself out there for one thing, because you just never know what the response is going to be. So, and I got a lot of crap from my buddies that are power fishermen. Those are cute, and I'm like, dude, I'll show you. Let's go to the lake. You know, I'll show you how cute they are.
Right on.
So,
you really kind of blew up though when this thing went national.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild. It's and kind of an understatement. So,
Bass Times, Bassmaster, Bass Live. It's where, like, if you looked at it, you could see your jigs on there. So you're still kind of secretive about all that stuff, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not naming this.
That guy right there, Robert G.
What's up? What's up, dude?
Oh, how y'all doing?
What's up, dude? It's a long overdue time for being on BTL. Thanks for jumping on. Really appreciate it. Finally. So I don't know if I don't think we've ever gotten this story like perfectly straight there. Robert G, Epic Eric to your right there. I don't know if you guys have met before.
Nice
but
to meet you.
You slid into Juice's DMs when he had like 90 followers and didn't have a single bass jig posted.
No, I had. That's when I came out with my first. I had just started. That was what, in March. That was the week of the classic because I had to go.
Okay. A,
I didn't
how
get
did
to
you
go
find
to
the profile? And B, what made you think Juice was your man?
So I don't know. I think one of my buddies from one of these highland reservoirs in Kentucky or East Tennessee or Middle Tennessee sent like, I guess it popped up on our popular page, you know. And I was like, and we had been talking about it for probably over a year. Just like, there's something missing in this type of bait is missing in bass fishing. And I mean, as y'all know, I'm a scoper, and I've been.
Say that with pride. You don't have to say that like apologetically.
Yeah.
Say it with pride. Say, I'm a damn
You
scoper.
smash them, dude. Who cares?
I scope their ass.
I've been doing this for crappie ever since I got it. You know what I mean? That's how I learned how to live scope, is fishing for crappie.
Yeah.
And like the hovering method of fishing is how I learned at crappie fishing. And I have a bunch of crappie hair jigs, like guys around here have tied in East Tennessee, and just like all kinds of Bobby Garland and trout magnet and crappie magnet baits.
Holy moly, yeah.
And that's really what got me into, like, you know, the jig head minnow technique, that kind of style of fishing, the hovering over the fish with live scope. And I was like, there have been days when we've been out there crappie fishing where we can't get bit at all on a plastic, like a micro minnow bait, you know what I mean, for crappie. And we put on a hair jig, and all the fish we've thrown at throughout this whole creek we've thrown at, every one of them will bite the hair on real pressure days. Like, it's it's insane. Like the ugliest colors too. Like we've caught them on like Tennessee Vol orange hair jigs.
That is hideous.
That my buddies have won in crappie tournaments, and it's like just strange stuff. And you're just like, So this hair moving in the water really like these pressured fish. It makes them just want to taste. Makes them want to taste it. You know what I mean? And like I always think about fish. Like I always think about what fish are thinking, right? And they don't have hands, so they can't run up there and like grab the bait and inspect it. The only way they can really inspect a bait is to bite it. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's just one of those kind of techniques or baits that really just gets them very curious, and they got to have their lips on it.
And then, so Juice called me and he's like, dude, like, what do I do? This guy's on the Elite Series. And I was like, I don't know, do whatever the hell you want with it. But from what I understand, it was like, here's what I'm looking for. And then Juice would do something and send it to you. And it wasn't like for a specific lake or a specific time. You just knew in your neck of the woods, you had something, and it was a back and forth. And then you were like, yup, that's it.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I based it on a crappie jig that literally my buddies, I have a few buddies that fish crappie tournaments. Like they're the OG scopers. You know what I mean? They only fish for crappie. They have like 6 live scopes going everywhere off the boat. They have their own live scopes on the front, that kind of stuff.
Power brakes. They all have power brakes.
So they gave me
cheaters
crappie jigs, and they're, super small, like a size number 6 hook and everything. But I based it off of that kind of, but I wanted it bass sized, with like a jig head minnow sized hook in it for bass. And it turned out well.
Yeah.
I would say so. We're on here for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. So Juice, we already went through. He sold out his 144 in 3 minutes, and you're also a professional Juice with another career. You have a 5-year-old flag football superstar, and an 8-year-old danceaholic. And you will have your hands full with both of them for many years to come.
Right.
I say that to say this: you're like only doing drops of these baits, and you have like, this is a side deal for you. So like they're gone. Like you're not making any right now. The next drop isn't for a couple months. So like this is the only dozen that's available for like public purchase to get your hands on. And it's a 12 pack of your most popular designs, some of which the Robert G, some of which is the Demiki style. Can you name any of the hair that's in the purple gas thing?
No.
Come on, dude. Because it's really cool hair.
Don't do it.
It's for the Hall of Fame. For the Hall of Fame. No?
Don't do it. It just catches them.
Did you know how long it took me to come up with that and get that right to how I wanted it to look in the water? No.
Yes, I actually do.
And actually, you do. You've seen all the variations of it. So
yeah, so we'll get into this, but let's
just say it's got a lot of flow.
It comes in a 10x8, the Gamakatsu foam case. This is the actual case that Juice actually came over the other day. And,
great case, by the way. I love those cases.
It's the only way to store your hair, guys. Period.
You get 4 of the purple gas. Those are the Tato designed jig heads. So the other thing that you started doing was tying on tungsten, premium tungsten, and premium jig heads as well. Which is done. So those are what, half or quarter and 3/8?
Those are quarter and 3/8 on the purple gas.
More so, that's like the drop Demiki cold water, like what we see Gussie, kind of how he's won the classic, the strolling like over the top of them, shake it, super slow moving stuff. And then that's the greatest color ever invented, which is ironic because you're colorblind. But Rodeo Queen, and that's your tungsten.
Yeah. That's my tungsten.
Juice's jig tungsten, 3/0 hook on it. And this is for more like what you're talking about, Robert G, where we saw what you did on Smith Lake. these things.
How Robert G's been smashing the shit out of them. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So like these have been like a
Let's go.
really good 1-2 punch, right? So like you've picked up a couple key fish, especially on camera, in what, 3 of the elites this year on Juice's Jigs?
Yes. At Smith Lake, the final day, I caught all my weight on the Juice's jig, the 3/16 ounce Tennessee shad.
Heck yeah, man.
So what are the Rodeo Queen then, Juice? You threw in 4 of those in what, the 3/16 and a looks like
quarter. Yeah, just cut it straight. Like that's kind of my go-to personally, is the quarter and 3/16.
And then this is what I would say is the standard, the gold standard of Juice's jigs, the Tennessee shad, quarter and 3/16. You do what do you do? Eric will know what this is. What do you do to the collar to make sure the hair doesn't come out?
So it's UV finish, so it's not gonna ever come apart. It's high quality stuff. I take pride in that. So
Fly tire stuff, man, right there, man.
So I know there's a bunch of people on here who tried to get the Lucky Lure drop. There's a drop right there. Those are headed to the Hall of Fame. You'll have your chance to bid on that auction and get your hands on those. Juice will have the link in his Juice's Jigs Instagram profile. Do you do Facebook?
No.
Okay, Instagram profile. He'll throw it up there. It'll also be on BTL. I think, like I said, it opens the press release for it comes out tomorrow. Auction starts on the 20th for like the next week. But I want to get into a little bit, and Eric, I think you'll find this interesting, is, you know, there's been a lot of just like in the industry lately. And this is like a cool story here with like Robert G at Juice's Jigs and like how the social media worked. Like, what did it mean, Juice, as you make these things in your shop at home. I mean, you have like a little studio, a whole wall full of your mystery feathers and hairs. But like, what does it mean even today's day and age? We're talking about how much value does a professional angler have? Like, are they moving the needles? Are people still watching it? What has it meant for you as a guy sitting in Edmond, Oklahoma, when you see Robert G on FS2 pop a 3¼ pound spot and it's got a Juice's Jigs in its mouth and people start going, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's something kind of new. Like, what has that been like?
It is absolutely insane. It validated everything that I believed in and what I've been able to do myself. And then, somebody at Rob's level to go out there and basically replicate what I've created. And, it's so funny because when him and I talk about like techniques of how he fishes it, and it's just like, we are on the exact same page. And, when I was designing that made a huge difference because I knew what he was trying to accomplish with the hair. And so that made all the difference in the world. But I mean, yeah, guy goes out and smashes them on Championship Sunday on Bass Live and give me live shout outs. Like, and he didn't have to do that. I could have been just the secret weapon in the pocket, and just, because dude, I've watched all the live stuff, and it was pretty insane. The response has been incredible, but it validated, my whole process, because it's been I've only been tying for 4 years. And so like, I'm a nerd when it comes to researching and
other
I
things.
want that too.
I'm just kidding.
But like, I kind of go all in when I'm doing something, and I want it to be the best. And if I'm putting my name on it, it's gonna have a quality hook, quality hair. It's not gonna come apart. Like, it's gonna, Gee, how many fish have you caught off of one of those jigs?
I haven't like ruined one yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
amazing.
They don't fall apart like other hair jigs I've had in the past. Like East Tennessee's a big in the wintertime, float and fly and tight lining hair jigs in the real cold times of the year. And I mean, people have tied them with like bear hair and all that, but like you have to have like 10 or 12 of them when you're going fishing, because you'll catch 2 or 3 and they'll fall apart. You know what I'm saying? But like none of these have even came apart at all.
Yeah. That's awesome.
This is how ate up Robert and Eric that Juice is with me. I get a text at 11:42 last night, and it's like a picture of 8 jigs. And I said, "It's midnight. Go to blank sleep." I said, "But those are cool." And then he sends me another picture of them, and I said, "Seriously, dude, I'm trying to go to sleep." And he's texting me pictures of these little nuances and changes he's doing at midnight with it. So
it.
that's fantastic. I will say this,
no doubt.
And then I'll let you go, Juice. I know you're at work. And you better work hard, because this is Robert G's. I don't know. I don't know if you've seen this here, but I mean, I see a 4th there to kick things off, but then I see a 2nd, a 3rd, a 2nd. See a Bassmaster Classic qualification in the rookie season. I see a lot of time on Bassmaster Live. I see him on. He's been on every podcast over the last 2 months. Everyone's asking him about this hair. I think you're gonna have to open up your pocketbook in 25, Juice.
We'll get there, buddy. I promise. So,
but I mean, I'm just saying, I could see a Tennessee shad. Now, hear me out on this, or rodeo queen. I think Robert would probably rather go with Tennessee shad, a lot less purple and chartreuse in it. Now, this is kind of shaped like a bass boat. Could you imagine a wrap of a Juice's jigs that starts at the front of the trolling motor and then feathers out on the back of it with that logo there on the back? I'm just saying, there's been some cool wraps out there, but there's never been a hair jig wrap.
That is true.
Yeah,
Blind demand, man. Handmade. There's limited supply, man. So who's got the power? I don't know, man. I'm listening to this, Matt. It's interesting.
If I could clone myself about 10 or 12 times, and get the same quality, like, I'd be all in on this deal. But like, that's the biggest thing for me, guys. And G and I have had real conversations. We know where we're at, and we're gonna grow. We're gonna grow this thing and do it the right way, and we're gonna grow together, man. And I'm along for the ride. I'm a character guy, and for me to put my name on somebody, I couldn't have gotten any luckier to work with him, and that means a lot to me. So, and because awesome. I'm apprehensive about getting some of the messages I get. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to work with him.
But seriously though, like, you've gotten how many would you say when this thing blew up, like 150, 200 requests in a day?
Oh, dude, it was more than that. It was like over 200 one day, and then there was 170 one day, and it just like kept it literally. It was on, like, because I try to shut down after church on Sundays, like, just and kind of hang out with the fam and not tie.
And coaches soccer, and coaches flag football, and coaches t-ball, and fishes, and ties them. He's the only one he is meticulous about tying them, and grills. Like, I mean, you got a lot going on.
Yeah, and so, like, there was one Sunday though, we were just sitting out on the patio and just kind of taking it easy, and my phone just kept going off, and I was like, holy crap. And so it took me like 2 hours because I want to respond to people. I don't want to be that guy, like, somebody that wants to support what I'm doing. Like, I'm gonna let you know that hey, this is my real job, and I will, we're not doing custom orders and waiting lines. So I just got to do what I have to do right now.
If you don't have Instagram or any of that stuff, and you want to know, Juice does do drops through Lucky Lure Tackle. Currently right now so they'll have like stuff out on that. But like I said, the main purpose of the show is you can get your hands on a dozen. What are these? Are like $15 jigs, and it's like a $20 box. Just retail. I mean,
it's like a $200 box retail. So,
but I mean, you can't get them.
No.
So that adds, like, how much value does that add, Eric? That adds a lot of value. A ton, man. Scarcity adds value.
I mean, think about it, right? You got a championship derby coming up in the fall, and that's going to be in play. There's only one box available in the country. The other one's in Robert G's, but you ain't getting in that one. So, you know, go to the Hall of Fame and bid your ass off is all I got to
Or
say.
get on the Bass Fishing HOF website once the
That's what I'm saying.
site drops on the
Bid it
20th. What's the most you've ever spent on an unobtainable lure, Robert G? Like, what's the most you've just been like, need it, don't care, whipping out the credit card?
I would say probably in the 200s. I would say.
Can you say what it was?
I mean, I've definitely spent over $200 on several glide baits, and I have spent like upwards of $80 on rattle traps and crankbaits. But other than that, I don't know if I've spent that much on lures. I mean, I have this year I've spent a lot of money on particular baits in the thousands at one time, you know. I'm not going to go into what they were, but
yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Exactly. Secret sauce.
Juice, I'm gonna let you go. I know
it.
that you basically took a early lunch break for this and then sat backstage for a while. You got a busy day in the office, so
Yeah, man.
can you stick around for a minute, Robert?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
All right,
I got a shameless plug. Everybody needs to check out my tungsten jig heads at luckyluretackle.com and go get you some. It's high quality stuff. I spent probably a year and a half, you know, finding the right source for some quality tungsten with a good hook on them. So we've got them in resin, 16th through a quarter in resin, and then the traditional round ball tungsten. It's I believe it's 16th to a half. So in there. So
Nice.
yeah. So we'll be getting them out to other tackle stores in the next couple of months. I'm just trying to manage the timing and everything. So
every time
What's
it's
what's the hook in it?
it's a mustad.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah.
3-aught and all that. Every time his 5-year-old acts up, he threatens that he's going to send him to go work with the other kids in his tungsten mine.
Jeez. Oh, jeez.
That's funny, man.
I tell you what, that tungsten's not going to mine itself.
Well, hey,
right,
thanks again for having me on, and you guys have a good one.
All right, thanks,
Nice meeting
Jarrett.
you, Juice.
Appreciate
Take
it.
care, man.
go Vols, go Vols, Juice.
Boomer, baby.
All right, that is the one and only Jarrett Morrison from Juice's Jigs. All right, here's what I want to have a discussion about. You got old school, you got
Let's
Robert G, who looks old school but is new school. Fair assessment,
That's right.
Robert.
Yeah, man.
What is your? How old are you?
25.
All right, what is your knowledge of like the old school baits? Like Eric went through like 8 different bait makers and that stuff. Do you think that's a lot lost art? Is that being translated to the younger generation? You're one of the top guys in the world right now. Are the guys on tour talking about trying to get the WEC crankbaits or this guy that's a painter, or is that kind of something that is a little bit getting I don't want to say lost to the archives, but is not, because when I was growing up, it was all like discontinued stuff, old school stuff, a paint job stuff. And that's what, like, I think why I really relate to Epic Eric on that. What is that like for the younger guys?
I mean, I definitely buy the old school stuff. I mean, this year we went to the Harris chain and there was a place, I forgot the name of it, Bitters Tackle Store. And they had
yeah.
They had an old school room. It was like they had every crankbait and rattle trap and hard bait you could think of that's discontinued in there. It was unbelievable in every color. So me and Logan Parks definitely went in there and spent, a couple $100 just on stuff that we could never find, or if you did find it, it's $150 on eBay. But I love the old school crankbaits. I'm from East Tennessee, so
Oh my gosh,
we've got
right in the middle of it.
Yeah, we've got a lot of great crankbait makers around here and still make them. And I've got my hands on a few of the original handcrafted ones. And but I mean, I like the discontinued stuff. Like I have several boxes in the back of my truck. I would really like, whenever I run out, I'm going to be sad of baits that I use, and I've caught fish this year on the Elite Series that are discontinued.
So you fish them.
Cool.
You don't stick
Yeah.
them on the wall.
No.
You use them.
No, man.
I use them. whenever I find them, I buy more of them and have like a big stash of them.
That's my jam right there, man. I'm all about it. I love the discontinued baits, whether they're plastic or balsa, and the ones I like, I fish and I cash checks on. I fish regionally, local, and team tournament mostly, but and there's a reason I like them. You know, I know the bait, I know how they operate, I know how they're made, and there's some subtle differences. And if you believe they matter, you fish them harder. That's
and swim baits too. Like I have a lot of discontinued swim baits, stack of them.
Soft plastic or hard baits?
Soft plastic swim baits.
Okay.
Like the old Bastrix and the Zoom swimmers and all those.
Sure.
Did you get the run that doesn't get slimy?
Yeah.
Do you have any of the slimy run? I was actually talking with the Jigs.
I've got some of the slimy
owner. Yeah, I always take those out. I have like it's very interesting why that happened. There's like actually a different compound in it that they didn't know was going to break down with the heat because they had to change. Anyway, they got it figured out now, but like I have individual 7-inch Bastrix that are wrapped in paper napkins. And then they have toothpicks on the tail to keep them straight because of how they're dipped. You can't really like boil them because they'll like fall apart. But I have them like individually wrapped with the packets from the beef jerky in there to suck up all the moisture. There will be a time and place.
Yeah, Matt, look at that.
For sure. I even have a couple of the Bass Pro Ospreys, I think they're called.
Oh, so that's the old Steve Kennedy one. You're familiar with that one, right, Epic Eric?
Oh, man, for sure. No doubt about it, man.
In the good color or the crappy color? Because I've got them, but they're the purple.
It's like it's not the color that Steve Kennedy threw, but it's not the purple color.
I can help you with that, Matt. I got some magic dust, and it applies to Z-Man plastics very, very nicely. I could change colors. In fact, let me show you.
You can change colors with the dust.
Oh, yeah.
You watch Epic Eric at all, Robert G?
Not much. I don't.
Dude, you need to get on board with this. Like this dude, he is dialed in.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the Z-Man mullet, and that was a black back before I got a hold of it. And then, you know, the colors are hard to see, but it's got that purplescent pink. I wanted to go for like a blue bag herring, but that was a black back. I just changed that color and amped up the white pro belly. It is not the same color that it started out, and it's not paint. It's not paint.
That's crazy.
It's not paint. It's Z-Man plastic, takes it up nice, and it stays on. It might wear off after a day of fishing, but I'll be done by then, and hopefully with the dub.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Magic fairy dust. Right over there.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Are sponsors like knocking down your door after you went these last 3? I mean, dude, you got a lot. Like it's very hard to show your personality on live. In fact, that's probably what the conversation has been dominated on, is separating yourself in 23 and 24 from others. And on both tours, out of all of it, when it comes to rookies, I feel like you did that one of the best. You know, Kyle Patrick, a couple other guys did too, but I mean, I was feeling like a groundswell of support for the last half of the season of guys going, hey, you see that Robert G dude? Like, that dude's funny. Like, I'm kind of rooting for him. And this was, you know, all the way back at Smith and before that. And then you kicked the year off with the top 5 too. Like, did you feel that? Is that translated into a lot of momentum for 25?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I definitely felt the love. I mean, I wouldn't say in today's time the sponsors are knocking down the doors, but you know, it's different in the professional fishing world than it used to be, I would say, with a lot of different, you know, routes they can sponsor, and it's kind of spread out pretty evenly throughout the whole industry. But I definitely had a good run at it, and gonna try to keep fishing at the top level. You know what I mean?
Hey, when you were rolling, I've always liked this question. Like, did it feel easy when you went to 3 in a row? Like, were you coming in going, how the hell is everyone else not having 17 pounds? How the hell does everyone else not have 24 pounds? Like, did it just roll to where even when you were like, I didn't even have that great of a day, you're still in the top 5?
Yeah. I would definitely compare it to, like, I was a big baseball player growing up and in high school and everything. It's definitely like when you're on on a hot streak and the baseball just looks like the size of a beach ball. Like I definitely, all the decisions I made were just working, you know what I mean? And I don't know, ever since I started tournament fishing, there's little stretches in every year that you get in that it's just like you're in the zone and like there's something different in your feelings. I don't know, like something deep in you, like you feel something different. And I don't know how to explain it or even put it into words, but like there's just some sort of like confidence feeling, like you're about to do good. You know what I mean? Like before you even put the boat in the water, like
you and Scooter have had that too in the team tournament vibe. Like I mean, haven't you, Eric? Like I mean, even in a team tournament, it's that same type of feeling that Robert just described.
No doubt, man. There have been moments where you just got that flow, man. It's that rhythm. There's a rhythm to that team vibe that you've got going, you know. I mean, if it's power and it's 100% power, when we won our championship, and I mean that was a big check for a regional team tournament. That was 32.5, and then we got some bonus money. We didn't own the boat because we could sponsor boat, but it would have been upwards of 46. That's a huge regional team championship. But that day, it was flowing, and we were both power fishing and you know, grinding in the dirt, man, which was awesome. And when it's flowing, man. Not a lot of bites, but the right bites at the right time. So, and you know, Scooter's fantastic on the front. And again, I might have to switch things up and go finesse behind him to generate bites. But I think that's the magic. It's the rhythm of the day. It's the rhythm of the river or lake that we're on, and you feel it. I can't describe it like Robert can, but when it flows, and you know.
One of the other things I noticed, Robert, so there were a lot of large airborne smallmouth attached to light line in your in your third place finish at Champlain in the St. Lawrence. And it did not seem to bother you at all. Like, I mean, you know, you were just like, oh, look, it's like it's jumping a lot. Yeah. It's like 5-pounder, 6-pounder. Cool.
Yeah.
Does that go along with what you just described, or like on the inside were you like, dear God, just please stop doing this?
I don't know. I feel like I have with the equipment I'm running right now, I feel like I've figured out the best possible way and rod, reel, line setup, jig head, all of the whole 9 yards. Like I have it pretty much dialed in to where I trust it with 100% confidence. And it really never even crossed my mind, like, because I mean, I live on Fort Loudon and Tellico, like where Gussie won with the smallmouth. And I mean, those smallmouth for some reason on Fort Loudon and Tellico, the big ones, the ones that are over, 3 3/4 to 5-6 pounds, they're the hardest fish ever to land. I don't understand what it is about them, but like if you hook 3 or 4 over 4 pounds in the day, you're going to lose at least 2 or 3 of them because of them jumping.
Wow.
But me and my buddies, we've masterminded the best hook possible for landing smallmouth, jumping and going crazy and head shaking like crazy. So I felt like the hook I was throwing with the setups I was throwing was just completely dialed in, and I had 100% confidence in it.
Hey, Robert, I got a question for you. I fish with Travis, he's smallmouth crush. He lives on, basically the Great Lake right now in the St. Lawrence River, Ontario. And I switched over to a 4,000 reel, and I'm loving it, man. I know everybody's all enamored with the 2,500s and the 3s. Would I move to the 4,000 XNs from Shimano? And I'm a G Loomis guy, especially with a long rod. My 7.6 Conquest is my favorite. I feel like in open water, there's nothing that fish is going to do. If I've got a premium hook, whatever hook you choose, there's nothing. I'm not going to get in trouble. So just play it right. Take your time.
Exactly.
Don't freak out.
Exactly.
You seem super calm and relaxed. I don't know, man. I love that 4,000. I know I get a lot of questions because I'm a largemouth guy. I'm a river rat. And Travis has turned me onto that smallmouth piece. I want to get your opinion on that.
Recently I just got some of the 4,000s XNs, and I love them.
Oh my God, it's my favorite.
I've got 2 of them, and and they're freaking awesome.
It's balanced. It doesn't feel like you're saltwater fishing.
Matt,
No,
it's
not really.
so lightweight. You pair it with a Loomis. Sorry, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
pair
be a
it with
Loomis
like a
job here. Super
longer
lightweight.
rod. I
Mhm.
feel like the 4,000 to me, it has to be on a 7.3 or big longer rod.
Agreed. That 7.6 Conquest to me, Matt, I could throw hair on it. I can throw anything on it, really. Not certainly like a bigger, stouter hook like on a Ned rig but those minnow type baits, and I throw it for largemouth too, like on Okashira screwhead. I've caught some giants on that Okashira screwhead with a spark shad, just covered water, pre-spawn off the points.
Sean brings up something. He says the other side, and now that I think of it, there is a lot of drag noise when you're fighting these fish. You're not you back that sucker off.
I mean, it is backed off in a sense, but I mean, I'm using top of the line spinning reels, so like the drag on those are so buttery and silky smooth. It's always going to have a sound coming out. It's not like a old school reel where you got to pull the drag out. Like the drag's always going to be engaged. Like I'm using, $500 spinning reels, and those things, the drag on them is insane. Where like when I'm fishing, like it feels like it's barely coming out off the reel. But if you're watching it on live, like I've watched playbacks of the clips, it sounds like it's loose as crap. But like when you're feeling it in the reel, like it feels
right.
You know what I mean? It feels right for me. But like it's just those Shimano reels that like the high end Shimano spinning reels, the drag on them is so buttery and
agreed
and amazing, honestly.
How many spinning rod setups do you have? Like if you were to open your box, 3, 4, or are you a guy with 20? And then I'm also curious with Eric too, like, not a professional angler, but like what's a Robert G versus Epic Eric, like ratio of bait casting to spinning in the box?
I probably have 25 or 30 bait casters and 11 or 12 spinning reels and rods.
Okay. So based still 2 to 1. But what would you say the ratio that you used this year if you were to look back on it, bait cast to spinning?
Yeah, this year I definitely was more predominantly spinning.
Interesting.
Yeah, for me, Matt,
2 to 1. Yeah.
I got 4 X-Senses, which I love, right? Yeah. And they're on a variety of rods. I've already talked about the one 7.3 to 7.6, and maybe a 6.8 if I'm skipping docks, right? But you got to know who I'm fishing with. In team tournaments, I'm fishing with Scooter. We're dirt daubers, power fishermen. So it depends on the tournament too. If we're on a herring lake, way more spinning rods versus if I'm on a river with Scooter, fishing barnacles and cypress.
Yeah.
I'll definitely have 2 spinnings because, a couple tournaments, the winning fish has come on a spinning rod in the last couple of minutes of the tournament. Finesse is required because those fish get their ass beat every weekend.
Yeah.
You got to downsize and finesse some of them up for sure.
Robert also hit the 100-pound mark, the Century Club.
In the river, in the St. Lawrence River.
That's what I'm talking about.
Not on Ontario.
You were close. You're close to the lake.
It was the river. It was current.
You think you were catching? You think those are lake fish that show up out of the lake on that spot? Or do you think those are river fish that go to that spot? I'm curious because I've Epic Eric, I know you know the spot exceptionally well as well. You fished it with Travis a bunch. What do you think? Yep. Where do you think those fish come from?
I think they're river fish.
Really? You think they're the biggest fish in the river that go to that because it's the
yes? Because I've fished up there before, just fun fishing for bedfish, and I've caught like 29 pounds or 30 pounds almost of them on bed near that area. You know what I mean? So those fish have to go somewhere, and that's just like the prime location for forage for them to eat and current. It's a juice hole pretty much.
It is. And obviously making sure you know, the 25 schedule is out with information. St. Clair, the only thing that's off limits for you to talk about, like strictly is that like you guys aren't going next year.
Yeah, we're not going.
Wow.
Thousand Islands, Lake Ontario, that type of thing. So,
and I think somebody commented about like I'm always reeling against the drag and whatnot. I don't know, for some reason, for those northern smallmouth at like Champlain and St. Lawrence, that's what works for me the best. Like I don't do that for largemouth like at Toledo Bend or really for spotted bass. I let them run more, but up there, dude, I feel like I just keep them pinned the best because they're constantly head shaking like crazy and just doing all sorts of movements, backflipping underwater. And it's just, I've watched it on live for a long time, watching the best of the best catch smallmouth. I feel like that's how they play them out too. So that's what I'm on.
What was your experience
Can't
with
argue
giant
with the
smallmouth?
results.
What was your experience with giant smallmouths before you went up there?
Like northern smallmouth?
Yeah.
I've been to the St. Lawrence. That was my 4th or 5th time. I had 3 college tournaments there, and I went up there in one of the years in college just to fun fish, like I said, with one of my buddies. We went up there and camped out and just went bed fishing. But we actually had a college tournament, our college national championship in 2021, the same exact time as our tournament this past year on the St. Lawrence River. So it was the way the fish set up the exact same that time as they did in the past.
Do you feel like college prepared you for the Elite Series like it was supposed to? I mean, that's the whole thing. Listen, I was one of when I fished the first college national championship that I fished, there was 34 teams that fished it. It was my God, OU wants to come. Come on in, baby. Now you know what I mean? Now it's hundreds, and you're going, you look at it, I think all 9 of the Elite Series rookies, I think, finished in the top 30 in the Angler of the Year, top 35 in the Angler of the Year points. How much of that do you feel like was college?
I feel like 95% of it was the college fishing because I fished for 5 years in college, so I did it pretty good as long as I could with eligibility. You know what I'm saying? I had a COVID year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go.
Way. But it really, I will say college fishing was the reason for my success in the opens and this year on the elites, because college fishing is kind of like the I don't know, I would say the best national team trail right now. If you think about it, it's like one step below the Bassmaster Opens to me, and it's a team tournament. And half the guys are getting the best waypoints on the lake, and half the guys or quarter of the guys are some of the best fishermen coming out, like Easton Fothergill and Tucker Smith and John Garrett and Logan. You know what I mean? Those guys are just hammers. So you have to beat the guys with the best waypoints, and you have to beat the guys that are just like the next Kevin Van Dams all in one place. So it really gets you used to good competition and just traveling and fishing all across new bodies of water.
How do you decide who takes the front?
The guy who has the boat. That's how I did at Tennessee. We didn't have
Did you have the boat?
Yes. So yeah, my whole 5 years in college, I ran the boat and made all the decisions on moving spots and where we're going to fish. And my partner was basically just fishing behind me and netting.
That's the best soundbite in BTL this year.
Mark it. So what did you have the guy do? If he's netting and you're making all the decisions driving the boat, to catch, what would you have him do? As you were talking the night before, so we would have the same partner all 5 years, or 2 different ones, or 3?
I had a new partner every year. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In my last year, I felt like it was when I really got the partner that fit me well in a team tournament aspect. The best. His strengths were my weaknesses, and it really just meshed well. But
what did he do that worked for you so well from a strength and weakness perspective?
He was just really good at, stuff I wasn't, really good sight fisherman. He was a little bit taller than me. I'm only 5'6", and it's hard to see in murky water when you're that short with the glare.
I agree.
But he was really good at it.
An advantage. Yep.
So and he taught me a lot about bed fishing and just that shallow water power fishing. He was really good at, and I was more of the deep water, strength guy, Tennessee River ledge fisherman guy.
Okay,
and that really meshed well when we were attacking a body of water. But besides that, earlier in my career in college, it was a lot like I was fishing that tournament I would fish a Bassmaster Open, and the guy fishing right behind me was my co-angler, but his weight added onto our bag. You know what I mean?
Oh, I like that.
I treated it like that just so I could get prepared for, fishing professionally, kind of.
Sure.
I feel like it helped because a
Yeah.
lot of the college teams now that like you have to get recruited to go to those places, they have it where like two guys both have boats and they are in the same boat. So they're alternating running the trolling motor, where I ran the trolling motor the entire career in college.
Yeah.
Even as a freshman,
Sure.
I didn't hardly know anything about going to the St. Lawrence or going to Dardanelle or something. And it really just helped me make decisions on new bodies of water and places I've never seen before that felt like it was the right decision for me instead of going on what someone told me. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
That's really good stuff. I have one more smallmouth question. I've been over here while you guys have been talking. So hook set on the smallmouth. You'll back me up on this, I think, Eric. If you're not used to it. So I look at some of the best ones. I want to look at two right here, and I want to get your opinion on it here. So like here's Polinick from a lot of years ago. Okay. But like watch the verticalness of the hook set on the smallmouth. And we talk about keeping reeling. Two of the best guys to do it. Watch it how high he is with that, and then reel, like he high sticks it, which I thought was interesting. And I've always made fun of Travis for this, but he's caught thousands of smallmouth too. And this is, you just catch the tail end of this, but watch this hook set here. Oh yeah. Nice sunset. Cool. Watch, you see how he got high like that on that, and he like high sticked it too. So like a lot of the smallmouth guys, high stick, vertical, keep reeling, way out of position. Have you noticed that, Eric?
I have. I mean, I fished with Travis,
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? And then like,
it's funny because you never see a picture. I mean, Robert, you can watch yourself live. I can watch myself on Travis's video how I set the hook, but it's odd. I don't think I high stick. I know I lean into them. I know I vertical. It depends on what I'm fishing. I side sweep a lot if I'm Carolina rigging, right? But I mean, I'm just trying to think the different style hook sets, right? I do not high stick. I don't do this. You don't see me do that. I know I don't do that. That would be odd to me. I don't feel like I would have control.
Yeah, I would.
I'm more across my body. I'm like this.
So that's what I say. Because watch, you do a very. You're now. Granted, we might be a little bit different methods here, and it might be a little bit deeper.
That's what I would do. I'm a left-hand reeler, even with a bait caster, so I go that way. Yeah. Unless I'm sweep setting for a different. I don't do this. Never. My arms would be all. That would feel weird to me. I don't know. Yeah,
because you keep your. No, that's what I was gonna say. You keep your whole body compact, whereas a lot of the smallmouth guys are like all over the place.
It's just weird to me, right? Because to me, like rods, I mean, think about it. If I'm trying to high stick, I think that rod would go this way or that way, and to me, you're losing your power. If I'm locked in, it's all direct transfer to the rod. That's just my personal opinion.
This is where he's just like, this is where he's like, oh, it's another 8.5 pound smallmouth, another lake record.
His signature is, man, when he passed.
But you just are so mellow with it. Like was talking to the camera and stuff. Like it was not.
I think that helps. Impressive. Honestly, I see guys freak out, panic, get hurried. And you know what? You're a cool customer. I mean, I'm the same way. I've landed some big fish in tournaments, and my partners freak out with the net. Freak out. I'm just like, dude, chill out. There's nothing here. Like I was flat siding in a tournament, Robert. We had been down this bank. I begged my team partner, like he's running the boats, Mike Piccolo on the upper bay. And I'm like, dude, I don't care if 50 people went down this bank. They live here. They're pre-spawn. I guarantee you there's some fat females on this bank. Just take me to the bank. Literally, I throat weighted my balls to flat side so it suspends, right? Mm-hmm. I'm throwing a Craig Power CP3, 6 to 8 foot of water. They're always there. Didn't need scope. If you scoped them, you'd see them. Maybe you wouldn't. So I'm flat 6'8", and he is having a panic attack. This fish came out into deep water. Now I'm sitting over 15 to 20. I'm like, relax. I'm letting my rod do the work. I'm throwing it on 8-pound test, by the way, but it's 2 Gamakatsu number 5 bronze trebles that are fresh. That fish wasn't going anywhere. I saw how he was hooked. He jumped once, didn't throw the bait. Just took my time, man. and the fish was ready, just slid right into the net. No need to horse the fish. They're having a moment, but I've seen guys do this with their rods, freak out, and all. That's how you lose fish, in my opinion.
For sure.
You're cool as they come, man. I love the way you do it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I feel like after watching that clip, whenever the smallmouth are taking a surge down towards the bottom, I let them run. But if they're swimming to the right or to the left, like horizontal in the water column, that's when I always have my reel going. Like I'm
interesting. Keep that tension.
Because for some reason I've seen that whenever I'm not reeling and they're swimming horizontally, their big head shakes, my hook will just pop out. You know what I mean? But if you keep that little
pressure,
if you keep that pressure on them, they're gonna stay pegged.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I remember, one of the first bilges that Chris did, he had Rick Clunn on. And I think Chris was talking about how he was losing a lot of fish or it had some issues with that. And Clunn was talking about keeping the momentum of the hook point heading towards the boat.
Yes.
No, this is no BS. I had struggled for the last year and a half in the open before I listened to that. It was so bad, Eric and Robert, that when I hooked one in a tournament, my first thought, this is no BS, was, God, I hope it's not a big one.
Oh my God.
Like that's how screwed I was on it.
Yeah, right. I get it.
Something that I could crank and boat flip is poundage and weight in the boat, and something that I have to do a tug of war with, it was coming off. And I've talked with other guys that have gone through that. I've also talked with guys who were like, I won Angler of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and I lost one fish the entire year. Wow. And it was because I didn't change my hooks for 3 tournaments. And you're like, wait, what? So there's something weird there. So anyway, I prefaced that with, so I was like, well, you know what I'm going to do this next year is I'm going to give him the gas, because typically what I found is I never lost him on the hook set. I wasn't breaking him off. I wasn't losing him. I was losing him 3/4 of the way back. I was getting through jumps on largemouth, smallmouth spots, everything. I was fighting them. I was getting them past halfway to the boat, and then they were doing that head shake thing and pulling off. And the most frustrating time, I mean, I'm talking like multiple top 10s and opens, potential close to Elite Series qualification. This past year, I started freaking cranking those suckers. Last year and a half, ever since whenever that podcast came out. And yeah, you lose some. I lost the biggest smallmouth of my life, but I knew when it came up the 3rd time, I could tell that the hook was in the corner of its mouth, and I knew I was in trouble. Can't do that. I mean, it's going to happen on a small percentage of your fish. But as a whole, the only time I lose them now is in practice. If I don't care, I will stop reeling when those fish get 3/4 of the way back. It's right when it's that most pressure, when they're going like this or like that, and you let them turn their head. And then as soon as you turn them back, if they can get their head facing away from the boat, doesn't matter what species it is, close to the boat, so you don't, in my opinion, it's so you don't have that stretch of the fluorocarbon or whatever it is. And they're closer to the surface, so you don't have the water resistance of it. As soon as you let them turn their head away from you and then you flip it back, sucker's gone. 50% of the time. Would you say that's a fair assessment, Robert?
I agree, definitely. That's the trickiest little part of the landing process, is that when you're trying to turn their head closer to the boat, that's always the scariest part of the entire landing process, is like getting their head turned to where the hook's not going to fly out. Because I mean, last year in the opens at the St. Lawrence River, that's when I kind of started doing the more just try to get them in fast route. Then we're playing them around the boat, because the first day of the tournament, I only had like 17 or 18 pounds, and I should have had 23 or 24. And I just lost them all at the boat, like literally almost being able to grab them just by turning their head and just like slowly fighting them around. And they would just do that like waller. And they would always come out. I mean,
and I practiced. I spent weeks, up north every year. I do it and I learn more, because I know it's always going to be a player. But like I would have 8-pound test on and know I had a 4-pounder, and I would just never stop. I would just get the thing, let it not winch it in, but keep it coming to the boat. But then when it got there, man, I practiced how much pressure can you put on these things. And after you boat flip a couple 3 3/4 pound smallmouth on either a drop shot hook or a minnow hook or something. And you're like, my God, I haven't lost any of the last 10 and I just boat flipped him. And this would have been a goat rope at the side of the boat in a tournament with me going, please, no, please, no, please, no. Oh, no. You're like, dude. And then you watch guys like Robert, you watch the guys who do this all the time. I mean, it's almost like the Kelly Jordan with the big bass. Why did he have so many big bass for so many years on the Elite Series? It's because he was the only one that was whale roping 8 to 10s at Fork every day. And when one came up, he didn't freaking lose his mind.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with what I figured, especially with the spinning rod. And Robert, you're talking about reeling against the drag and keeping it. You can put way more heat on these fish, especially with the components and the quality, of the line and the rod and the reel combination and the actions of it than I think a lot of people realize.
Agreed. And the hook, no doubt. All of it works.
Yeah,
I agree, man.
Hook is a big factor in my opinion as well for smallmouth for sure. It's weird how different style and just textured hooks allow you to lose more fish. You know what
Explain.
I'm saying? Like I feel like, to me, in my opinion, this is just opinion based, that the black nickel hook lands smallmouth better than the coated hooks, if that makes sense.
So all of the brands out here have the coated hook, the slicker hook, easier penetration, that type of thing. But in your experience,
easier in, easier out.
Yep.
I mean, think about it, right?
Yep.
Fascinating.
How important is the barb size? Because I know a couple finesse guys primarily, and especially even on the largemouth, especially when you start going with the rebarb hooks and Texas rig and worms. Like, are you conscious of the barb size of your hook at all?
I'm not. I'm basically more conscious on how it's coated and how strong it is. Like a lot of guys with my setups for like jig head minnowing and stuff like that and drop shotting, I always try to get away with the heaviest gauge hook I can. But there's a lot of guys, I mean, like Vegeta and a lot of the good minnow shakers, they use like a light action rod with a really bendy out hook. And I just can't do that. I like a heavier gauge hook with a little bit stronger rod, like so I can get them in the boat faster.
That's interesting. Those are totally opposite.
Yeah, like a lot of people throw a light action, but like the lightest rod I will throw is a medium light for like a real light jig head, but mainly a medium action, like a strong G Loomis medium action.
I guess it's the same. Like
you a G Loomis guy? I love it.
Yes.
If you were to ask 10 flippers or 10 crankers, you would have some crankers that say, man, the EWG trebles, they don't need it because they slap on it. You'll lose so many fish with it. You'll have other guys that are obsessed with the EWGs and be like, man, I'll never throw a round bend. You got guys that are glass, guys that are fiberglass. You got guys that are cranking with fluoro. You got guys that'll crank with mono. You got guys that only crank with 8. So it's the exact same thing with the finesse. We just have to apply those prints. I mean, same with the jig guys. Yes, give 10 guys to flip a jig. You got some guys that are like, man, I'll tell you what, you can get a lot of fish out on 18-pound fluoro, and you got other guys that are like, you're a mental case. I'm 65-pound braid all the way with a hook as big as my pinky.
And some guys throw a medium heavy rod with braid to floor leader when they're flipping.
That's isn't that crazy? Flipping, I've not done that.
Flipping rod. The new trebles, I feel like everybody needs to try out. I mean, Ryugi, it's like the O'Shaughnessy bend style hook.
Yeah, the Pierce treble.
The Pierce trebles. Those are
badass.
Freaking good.
I can't disagree.
Anything else you guys want to get in here before I let you go? We're almost 2 hours in. I do need to take a break and come back and talk a little bit about what Frank Scalish, myself, Ben Milliken, a couple other guys have to offer for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction that opens the 20th. Fantastic. But this has been a hell of a conversation. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Thank you, man. Nice to meet you, Rob.
Good luck, nice to meet you too.
Keep it rolling, man. Keep it rolling.
Get him jump on Monday night with Travis.
Yeah.
Maybe teach Travis a thing or two about those smallmouth up there.
Man, I need. Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah, man. I'm all about it, man. I love interesting guests for sure. You're welcome anytime on the show. I am the co-host and now the producer of the show, so I need to book some great talent. You'd be a great guest to have on. You guys could talk all day about smallmouth, man, but I'll certainly pop in a couple questions from your Tennessee origins and your crankbait makers. And what were some of those OG baits you were searching for? So we'll save that for smallmouth crush because I know Matt's got a roll, because I like to hear why you chased them and what you liked about them. And it sounds like they're still part of your arsenal, so that's very cool, because that's my jam, man.
Oh yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. Awesome, Robert
Matt.
G. Thanks
you for having me on.
All right, see you, Robert.
Fantastic, man.
Dude,
Matt,
he's a good dude. Like I've been trying to get him on for a while, and then he fished the open, and then I had him scheduled, and I totally forgot that I'd scheduled him. So he messaged me, and I was like, "Sorry, dude, I'm like out on the lake right now. I totally forgot that we were gonna film today." But then when I knew Juice was coming on to talk about his jigs, I thought that'd be like a cool little surprise for him.
That was great, man. I mean, just what a great show again, man. Back to back, man, with the team stuff yesterday, David Jeffries. Mm-hmm. I mean, just fantastic stuff.
Well, heck,
man.
If you got 5 minutes, I'll just run through the Frank stuff and then we'll just wrap it up.
I'm here. I'm here for the whole thing, man.
So if you listen to Thursday's show with Uncle Frank, we'll be live on Thursday, 8:30 a.m. We'll talk about it again. Frank was going to jump on. Frank is on the water blasting them right now.
What? He should come in live.
He's got an Android. You don't really. He's got an Android, no earbuds. You don't really want to mess with Frank when he's on the water. So I just said, it was not like a, hey, I'll try to get on if I have good service. It was like, no, I'm fishing. Good luck with that. But dude, this is what he's throwing in, and it's so that's a one of a kind. So those are all the original paint jobs for his custom craw colors on a Norman. You can get a little bit there, all hand autographed on the bottom. Those are the original one of one paint jobs, handwritten, put in a shadow box. Like that is straight up collector's item.
I mean, from crawfish he caught. So
so their colors, except for the very top one, the rest of them are all, you can see St. Clair red, St. Clair chartreuse, St. Clair orange, all colors that he mined from the shores of Lake St. Clair and then turned into into works of art. So that comes with that. And then also the winner will get a half hour. Like if, let's say I've got like, whatever, Lake W.
Yeah. And
I'll send, we'll do Frank, you get a one-on-one kind of training session with Frank on that time of the year where he'll be like, hey, like, this and that. And then also you get to co-host episode of day 4 with Frank Scalish on BTL. So
I'm bidding on that too. I'm going to be bidding all over the place, man.
Dude, like I love how like he did it all by hand too. So like you can see the little foam behind it that he cut out with the X-Acto knife, and then like the Sharpie that he wrote it all in perfectly. Oh, yeah.
Look at that, man. That's Uncle Frank's hand. That's awesome, man. That's very cool. Artistry.
So, yeah. And then what else we got? Oh yeah. Milliken is doing his fish with Milliken for a day, record it. You get an episode of it. An unnamed lake in Texas, giant hunting this winter. Wow. He actually just texted me today about it, and he said, hey, when does this thing go live? He's enjoying his off season. I'll be interested to see what he does next year.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a guy? I don't know. You want to talk about a guy who was like, went out to prove something and literally proved it?
He did.
Gets a classic at Grand, gets a classic in his backyard in Texas.
Yep.
I mean, he's not allergic to BS. He likes to get into the controversy, but like he also doesn't need the controversy, the Elite Series. Like he could say, hey, been there, done that, won an Open, made 2 classics, top 10s on the Elite Series. I'm going to go do what I want to do. Or he might be bitten by the tournament bug now, like as far as at that level, and he's around for the next 10 years. It'll be very interesting to see what he does. But you get a chance to go fish with Milliken this year, and then also the BTL experience.
That's amazing. How much did the auction raise last year? Curious question.
I want to say right at $100,000.
That's amazing for conservation and getting kids into conservation.
And it also goes for, there's a lot of upkeep for that Wonders of Wildlife part down at the bottom, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. You have a lot of upkeep, boxes, redesigns, plaques, all sorts of stuff.
Sure.
So bassfishinghof.com. Here it is right here. And you can see it is. So you can look at the hall, all the different things that they're doing. Like these are some of the projects and all that. Explore. You can learn about all the new anglers that are getting inducted.
Oh, outstanding.
See who is inducted, the history, who we are, what we do. You can sign up for email updates, all sorts of stuff.
Very cool, Matt.
So anything else you want to get in here? I enjoyed it, Epic Eric.
Man. No, that was fantastic, man. Again, thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for having me on. Let me talk baits a little bit, showcase some of the builders, people that I work with, the Bass Lab, man, the guests that you had on, talking about things I love, man. New baits, new creations. Robert G, good night.
I think you can bid on I think I saw a Robert G jersey too.
Nice.
Yeah, you can bid on a Robert. So all these aren't super updated, but there's fishing trips with Matt Becker, Keith Carson at Bienville, Nick Hatfield, Howell, Lefebvre, Murray, Colby Shrump, Greg Vinson, Bobby Lane, Mark Rose, Brian Latimer,
Dang.
Jeremy Lawyer, Alan McGuckin, who worked for Dynamic. He's doing
he's awesome.
Youth trip with the kids out at Lake Skiatook that you can bid on. There's salmon trips. Luke Palmer, Dan Miguel from Great Lakes is doing a day of smallmouth fishing with all the Great Lakes stuff next year.
That'd be a good one.
Alton Jones on a private lake. All sorts of crazy. You could go fishing with Wally Marshall.
What? It just doesn't get any better, man.
And then you throw in
big time.
I mean, dude, I will say, I think the 3 Epic Eric Bass Lab boxes, though, when it comes to, I know there's some cool other tackle and stuff in here. When it comes to tackle and baits.
Right on.
Dude, I think I'm looking at this. There's some really cool stuff, but as far as vintage, a lot of it's available things.
Yeah.
I think you got it. You took the cake right there on all 3 of the boxes. Cannot thank you enough.
Thank you, man. John Pryor, Big M, Tacklecraft, and all the makers that some, they're late and great. So may they rest in peace, man. We're still throwing their balsa and keeping their legends alive.
Are you out of town Monday or are you live on Monday?
Live on Monday. On Smallmouth
Monday night.
Crush.
What time is that?
Yeah. That's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday night. Once a month, there's a private stream on Fixed TV, and then I pop around. I'll probably do an upcoming show with Baitman soon.
I'm doing that tonight.
Yeah, we've got a couple coming up on Bass After Dark, maybe in 25. We'll see. There's some select topics that I'm really passionate about and I'd love to talk about. So hopefully I can pop around the StreamYard stuff because I like to do that in the winter. Not a lot to do, man. So, You know what I mean? Keeps my fishing soul alive, man.
Thanks, Epic Eric.
Good stuff, Matt. I appreciate you, Matt. Thank you. Hey,
we'll see you. Whoa.
It was great. See ya. Thanks, everybody in the comments.
Bad about that. I do that on the phone. I do that on the StreamYard. I have had multiple people that were like, hey, man, you're awesome. We appreciate it. But just let us finish our sentence before we cut you off or before you hang up the phone on us.
I'll never stop talking. So you got to do it, man. All right, man. I'm out. Thank you, guys. Tight lines out there. Until next time, we'll see you on the water.
Oh, that was so much smoother. All right. That was Epic Eric. We'll take a break. We're going to wrap things up. We'll talk about what we got going on the rest of the week. It is BTL on a Wednesday with Epic Eric from Epic Eric's Bass Lab and the Smallmouth Crush Show. Elite Series Rookie Bassmaster Classic Qualifier for top 10s this year. Robert G. and Jarrett Morrison from Juice's Jigs, all talking about the 2024 Bass Fishing Hall of Fame auction, bassfishinghof.com. Info on how you can get more info on that also available. Link in the description of the YouTube channel. So we'll take a final break and we'll let everyone know what we got going on the rest of the week. BTL on a Wednesday.
Gamakatsu, the innovation leader in fish hooks, is launching Nano Alpha technology in 2024. Nano Alpha is a new finish available on Gamakatsu's most popular hook styles. It delivers 2 times slicker performance, 4 times better corrosion resistance. Nano Alpha technology makes the world's greatest fish hooks even better in 2024 to help anglers catch more fish.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
Yes. Fishing isn't just a hobby, it's an obsession. Whether it's blazing hot or bitterly cold, bright sunshine, raining, or even snowing, someplace, somewhere, there's a fish that's ready to bite. And as the angler, you need baits that will catch the fish anywhere, anytime, no matter the conditions. From throwing topwaters to cranking the depths, know the baits to throw. Choose Spro.
Denali Fishing has me covered on the Bassmaster Opens, from their line of high-end rods, from the Android series all the way to the TAC series, the Novus series bait casting reels, all the way to the Covert series of tungsten in the cylindrical and the teardrop shapes. Denali has everything to keep me covered, whether I'm finesse fishing for smallmouth on the Great Lakes or flipping for largemouth in the slop down in Florida. The complete lineup is always on my deck and in my boxes. Denali Fishing. Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronic setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. All right, big shout out to all of our guests for today as we wrap up another 2+ hour BTL. Tomorrow, live, Frank Scalish, 8:30, and then Monday, we are going to have John Cruz either Monday or Tuesday. I need to actually firm it up. So I'm actually going to Japan to look at the Sunline factory, actually see how the line is made, talk with the guys, tour the facility, learn about all the differences. I had this opportunity once before and it like killed me. I wasn't able to do it. But there's a couple of us that are going over there. I've never been to Japan before, but I just figured if I'm going to do it all in 1 year, let's do Canada a couple times, Mexico, Europe, and Japan all in a 5-month time period. But excited to do that. So we're going to have John Cruz to come on, and then we're going to have a lot of really good content on fishing line, the importance of fishing line, how it's made, maintenance, maintaining, what the actual differences are, what it actually means, working on doing a live show from the Sunline factory during the tour while we're over in Japan. I have no idea what like time we're there would actually translate into American time, but we could figure that out later. But like I said, if you guys have any questions about the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, how you can bid on the auction that's opening on the 20th, I think it runs through the 26th, slide into my DMs and Instagram at Matt Pangrak. Email me, matt@basszone.com. Stay tuned to basszone.com for updates, and then I'll also include the direct link in the show. I think that's all we got for today. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow with Frank Scalish. See ya.